Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is another episode of Young Hustlers, where every Thursday at noon East Coast Standard Time, your boy JG brings you tips and strategies that I've gotten to see working behind the scenes with one of the most successful people that's on the internet, teaching people how to get more successful. The thing I love about Grant is with where he's at in his career and what he's doing, he's still showing up every day to give people access to the information that they need to get ultimately what they want to get out of life. And, it's been a wild ride over the last 11 years. I just had my 11-year anniversary working for Grant. And all along the way, I've learned quite a bit. I have to say the thing that made the biggest difference for me, though, was learning from him about money. And it wasn't just like, about how to go get it because you were selling deals, but it was like what to do with it next. And the crazy thing is I think that a lot of people get disconnected from their money targets and their money goals and how they're moving towards those goals. And there could be a whole bunch of reasons. I don't know what they are for you. Maybe for some of you, it's, I'm too money focused and I'm talking to it with my friends and family. And, they think that all I care about is money. Maybe it's you feel like you're chasing materialistic things and eventually you start buying stuff and then that doesn't make you happy anymore. I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going on with your drive about money? But for me, the thing that's most exciting about money is freedom and choices and options. And, when a hurricane comes, being able to jump on a friend's private jet that he sent to pick me up and fly me somewhere was really cool. Not because I got to fly in a private jet, but because I couldn't get a ticket on American Airlines. And it allowed me the freedom to be able to get out and escape with my 4-day-old newborn baby, escape a hurricane that knocked power out in Miami for 10 days. So, money is, I think, a very misunderstood tool. And, working with Grant over the years, I've really got my head wrapped around it. I've seen the impact of massive charitable donations, 10, 20 million bucks, and where that goes and what that can do. And, obviously we have the Grant Cardone Foundation now, where we are impacting youth all around the world, not just here in the U.S., who don't have fathers, who don't have access to financial education, to information on how to grow a business, start a business, market a business. And so we're reaching out into all these communities, and none of that's possible without money. And so no matter where you're at, no matter where you are, I think that most everybody would agree that a little bit more money probably wouldn't be a bad thing, right? So the question is, are you willing to do the work to get more? And I think there's a lot of people, myself included, at one point in my life that was like, man, I want to make more money. And then people started talking to me about what you had to do to make more money. And I'm like, yeah, I ain't doing that. I don't want money that bad. I'd rather do this right now. And so the first big kind of gut punch that you have to get when you're confronting the question, I want to get more money. And today's show is 5 steps to getting more money. So I'm going to give you 5 things that you need to do if you want to start impacting your income in a way that is significant enough that you can feel it, that you can see it, and you can watch the growth. For me, I was looking back and I would say I want money, but then I made bad choices. I stayed out late. I spent my money on stupid stuff. I was investing in fun rather than investing in information that would allow me to get further along in life. And it took me till 26 years old to start kind of like figuring out like what I really wanted and what I wanted to do. And coincidentally, that's when I started working for Grant. It was a time in my life where I was like, I'm done with the city that I'm in right now. Like all my friends were getting married. I was like, I feel like I'm watching musical chairs. And you know what happens in musical chairs is, eventually, because there's one less seat than there are people, when the music stops, everybody sits down except one person. And I slowly started seeing like musical chairs going down around me. And I was like, yo, I'm not going to end up without a seat. And so I like doubled down on like, okay, dude, you need to get your shit together. You need to find an opportunity that's going to allow you to make some money and get some good experience. For the first time in my life, like I was ready to make a big change. And of course I moved to LA to work with Grant, and the rest is history. But you have to come to this point where you're making a decision to change. And then you have to be willing to do things that are different than what you did before. I could have stayed in San Diego. I was partying on the weekends, going out, very social, having fun, but I was not making any money. And that is it's a lifestyle that can trick you into thinking that you have a great life, but it's a great life now, and it's a great time now, and you have fun now. But what's going to happen is 20 years from now, when you're trying to get married, and I see this all the time. I see this happening with people that are 35 years old, 40 years old, and they're just getting into the point where they're like, oh my God, I need to make money. Like, I've never thought about money my entire life because I've been too busy having fun. And then you blink, and then you're like, it's too late. And so my hope is that for those of you that actually want to make the commitment to improve your money situation, that you take kind of what I'm talking about today and you do something with it. Because if you don't do anything with it, ain't nothing going to happen. Nothing's going to change. So simple 5-step process to get more money. Okay, number 1 is you have to know the math. This is really important. Everything that I do in business, in sales, with my house, with my future, it all revolves around math. What's going on here, dude? It all revolves around math. Here? Yeah, I don't know what's going on here, dude. Where's the marker at? The marker's not coming up. Okay. Anyways. So number 1 is you got to know the math. Like, numbers don't lie. Numbers make things more real. Numbers come into the physical universe down on paper, and it can show you a pathway to get wherever you want to go. So you have to know the math. Like, you want to make more money? Like, where can you go to get this money? Like, what needs to be done? How much of X needs to happen? So if you say, hey, I want to make another 50 grand a year, I want to make another 100 grand a year. No, it's not letting me change the. Yeah, how come it worked when you did that? I didn't do that for me. You put some tricks on here, Johnny. You cast a spell on me. So you have to know the math. You want to make another 100 grand, okay? How many different ways can you get to 100 grand? 1 thing for 100 grand, 2 things for 50 grand, 4 things for 25 grand, 5 things for 20 grand, 10 things for 10 grand. Like, it's and on and on and on. Like, you got to start working through the math so that you can see all the little entry points. This automatically takes that big number and it breaks it down into something that you can actually digest. And maybe for some people, 100 at 1,000 is easier than 100,000 at 1. Or maybe for some people, 100,000 at $1 is easier than the other way. But it starts showing you more opportunities to actually make stuff happen. It brings these targets that you have and these goals that you have into the real world on a sheet of paper. And so you have to know the math. And based on what you're doing right now, what is all the math that goes into getting you where you're at? Like, if you make 150 grand a year, what comes from salary? What comes from sales? Commissions, if you get paid commissions. If you have a company a small business that you own, it's like, okay, what are my sales? What are my expenses? That leaves me with X. How many customers do I have to get in order to make another? If I make $1,000 per unit and it costs me $500 to deliver, then how many customers do I need to go get if I make $500 a customer to get to the 100,000 number? You're going to need to get to 200 customers, right? So 200 customers times $500, $100,000. Okay. So this math thing is really important, and every time anything comes up that we're talking about for a future thing, for this, for that, for the other thing. I was talking to a coworker the other day, and he's like, man, I'm looking for like a big score. And I'm like, okay, well, let's go down to the numbers. Okay, what is the number? What's a big score for you? Come up with a number. We write the number down. We go, okay, how many different ways can we get to this number? Is it a recurring number? Is it a one-time number? Do we need to get people on a subscription for something? Like, before we even got into the action that needed to be taken today, we started with, where's the destination, and then how does the math break down so that we could start thinking with working our way backwards into a solution. So math needs to become your friend if you want to make more money. And for me, this became a science of how many customers I needed to talk to. Before that, how many leads I needed to call or how many numbers I needed to call to get somebody that would actually talk to me. And then how many times I had to get somebody to talk to me before they'd set an appointment, because most of them didn't want to listen to me and they hung up on me. Then after that, I had to figure out the number, the math behind how many people that I set appointments with to do a presentation or a demo, how many of them actually showed up on the demo. Okay, because just because they schedule an appointment doesn't mean they're going to show up. And then what happens is once they get on the demo, what percentage of them actually close? Because a big percentage of them don't, right? And then of the people that close on the call, how many of them actually send the contract back and follow through? Like everything worked out to numbers to where I was like, I know that for every 1,000 calls I make, I'm going to get a deal. And so now I start thinking with how do I orient my day in a way where I can make 1,000 or more, or my week in a way, or whatever, where I can make 1,000 calls. How do I get 1,000 calls faster? How do I get to 5,000 calls in a day? And if you make phone calls, you know that 5,000 phone calls in a day isn't possible unless you have other people making those calls. And then we start breaking those numbers down into a team. And now we start, before we even get into how many people we need to hire, like I've already broken down in a mathematic way exactly how many people we need to hire if we want to hit our target. Before we've even started talking about the idea of, yeah, we need to hire more people, I went to the target, I went to the math, I went to how all the sales stats broke down, and then I went to we need to hire more people. How many people exactly? And it's like when you start having that level of predictability, that's probably what math does the best, is it just gives you that level of predictability. It's like would you rather try to chop a tree down and not know how many times you had to swing the axe? Or would you rather have somebody tell you exactly how many times you had to swing the axe? Like that knowledge, that awareness of how much activity or action is going to be required to hit the target is extremely important. It gives you visibility, it gives you confidence, it gives you certainty, and it allows you to move faster. And so that's what math needs to become to you. It needs to be the equalizer of everything that you do. That's why I tell people, like, when you're thinking about your ideal life, which you should know, your ideal life should be something that you know, you have defined, you understand, you talk about it daily. Like, your ideal situation should be so crystal clear that without even looking at a sheet of paper, you can go pop, 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 pop. Then you have to know the math behind that. What does all that stuff cost? How much do I need to make in order to support that lifestyle? Is this active income or passive income? If it's passive income, then how much money do I need to go make so that I can invest in assets that will generate passive income for me so that I can fund my ideal life without having to work? It's all math. Okay? So step one is the math. So start working through the math in your situation. What are those numbers? How do they break down? How many extra dollars per day do you need to make to get to your annual target over the year? The second thing that you need to look for is you need to look for the opportunity. Now, if you own a company right now, there's opportunities everywhere. If you own the business, there's opportunities everywhere. There's opportunities to generate a little bit more traffic. There's opportunities to train more and get a little better at what you do. There's opportunities to go out and reach customers and have them purchase more frequently. Like, there's a lot of opportunities that a business owner has within their business, within their customer list, to get more activity happening if you have your focus and attention on it. Now, if you don't own a company and you're an employee somewhere, and then you're thinking like, well, where do I need to go for more opportunity? Do I need to go somewhere else? No. The first thing you need to do is you need to look inside the four walls of the business that you work in, that you go to every day, or if you're virtual, whatever. Like, you have to try to find additional opportunity where you're at. What does that mean? Could be more sales opportunities. It could mean I'm working a little bit longer. It could mean that I'm getting a little bit better at what I do. It could mean I'm aware enough about what's happening in the different departments of the organization to know that if I were able to provide a value over here, that I would, in exchange, be able to get some type of income or some monetary benefit from it. Well, let's say you work at McDonald's. Like, here's just an example. Like, when you're committed enough, the opportunities start revealing themselves, right? So McDonald's is a franchise, right? But they're all owned by a business owner. So let's say you work at a McDonald's. You're like, how am I going to increase my income without just working more hours? Well, that's a great question. What happens if you could actually help the store perform better? Well, what do you mean? Sell more burgers and French fries. What if you could find a way to go out and find a customer that would come in and regularly buy bulk from the business? You're providing lunches for the lunches for lunch and learns at the hospital, or you're working with a chiropractor, or I'm just using a fictitious example. So, maybe a doctor isn't going to be serving McDonald's at a meeting. Maybe they are. I don't know. But the point is that those type of opportunities are around you. Because there's not one business owner on the face of the planet that if an employee said, hey, I have an idea of how we can make some more money, it's going to require zero energy or effort or attention from you. I don't need anything. All I need from you is if I hit this, would you be willing to provide me with some type of extra compensation? If you're making $12 an hour at McDonald's and you go, I can sell an extra, I can make sure that the location sells an extra 100 hamburgers a week. If I'm able to get the location to sell an extra 100 hamburgers a week, or whatever the number is, will you consider providing me with some type of monetary incentive for that? Not one business owner on the earth is going to say no. Now, figuring out where it is, the target, the volume, the number, maybe you got to sell 1,000 burgers in a month, more burgers in a month, or, again, I'm hanging on this McDonald's example. I don't know why I even picked McDonald's, but to show you that, like, if you're making $12 an hour at freaking McDonald's, there's a way for you to make more money. Now, if you work for Walmart, probably going to be a little bit more difficult if you're making $15 an hour working at Walmart, because Walmart is owned by the company. Like, you're going to talk to somebody who's running the store that probably isn't that tied to the financial benefit of the store. Maybe they are. Definitely consider this. Consider this opportunity if you're an employee. And by the way, if you're a business owner, how would you respond to somebody who came to you and said, I want to sell you an extra 1,000 burgers a month and it's going to take no energy or effort to you? If I were able to do that, would you consider some type of compensation for me for the added performance of the location? There's not one business owner that wouldn't have that conversation and be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. You're going to get me more business. You're going to require nothing from me. This all goes under, of course, under the umbrella of you have to be ethical. You can't do anything that would damage the brand. Like, you have to have good intentions with all of this, right? And you got to be smart. Not one business owner would say no, and that would immediately, even if they did say no for whatever wild reason, you would immediately be elevated to another level. They would be thinking differently about you, because you're not just showing up and doing a job unconsciously. You're showing up actively looking for ways to increase the performance of the business and thus benefit from it. Like, that is the biggest shift that you have to make. If you're not a salesperson, you're not a business owner, the performance of what you do doesn't directly correlate to how much money you make, you have to find a way to shift into that. Because that is the single most important thing that will happen so that you can be in control of the income that you make, unless you want to be the effect of something your entire life, which will end up in a situation where you have no money at the end of your life, or very little. Like, that's just how it goes. Like, if you show up and you make $12 an hour, that's all you'll make, that's all you produce, that's all you deliver, but you get comfortable and you live with that, it's going to be really hard for you to make big money moves. And you got to get connected to the money line. That's like step number 0 in the money game. So you got to find the opportunities. They're everywhere. So if you say there's no opportunities, just know you need to look harder, because I can find an opportunity for you to make more money, or at least an opportunity for you to present something to the business owner that they might consider paying you more money for, or giving you some type of bonus for. Okay, number 3, when you start looking for opportunities, so like you've done the math, you've broken it all down now, you start looking for the additional opportunities, now you found some areas that you can plug in. The next thing you need to focus on is skill. This is exactly what I did. I did the math. I didn't have a job at the time that I thought was the vehicle that was going to take me there, so I started looking for new opportunities as a job, and that's how I found Grant. And I was like, man, this guy makes a lot of money. It seems like there could be opportunity there. He's got this real estate stuff going, which nobody knew about at the time. He's got this training business. I go up to his house for the interview. Leo DiCaprio's his next door neighbor. I'm like, there's some opportunity here, right? So then I secured the opportunity because I had a good pitch. Next, I had to develop skill. You want to make more money? You got to get better at everything that you do. And if you spend 0 time on skill, you will increase your income by 0. Most people spend so much time being educated in school that by the time they get out, they're like, I'm done with that. Even college, they're done with it. They're like, okay, I've passed the education part of my life. And it's a mistake because business is changing so fast. We run a marketing execution workshop here in our office regularly, probably once a month or every 6 weeks. Our book changes almost every time we do the workshop because things are changing so fast in marketing. You know, business is changing. You know, in the last year, business has changed a lot. For something that is big, transactions, phone calls, people, personal visits, like that is a massive, massive moving ecosystem, businesses. And then all of a sudden you go from you can't see people, you can't go visit people, you can't even be in the same room as people, you got to do everything over video. It's wild, right? You have to be on the skill development game. And the reason that we had a record year through COVID is because we kept developing new skills as the business was growing. We didn't lock into the thing that we were doing and go, okay, we're going to sell online training to business owners and that's all we're going to do. We said, no, we're going to market in new and different ways and we're going to figure out how to leverage webinars and online video and advertising on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Google, and we're going to figure all that stuff out. And so what happens is we come into an opportunity where people that aren't prepared are being forced to have to learn. And while they were learning the skill of doing business online, we were maximizing profit of our online business. And so you have to continue to look for the skills that you need to learn to get money. And I'm talking about getting money here. I'm not talking about investing money. I'm not talking about doubling down on crypto right now or learning more about crypto. There's a time for that. But until you get control of creation of income, then you will have no money to invest. Like the investments that I've made over time, these like long-term investments that at the time I'm like, man, how did I end up with millions of dollars invested? At the time I wasn't focused on the check I was writing. I was focused on the long game with this investment fund. And then every single day I was focused on how do I get better, chase more opportunities, and know my math so well that I start getting more money so that I can park more money away into my investments. And that became a game for me. Like writing checks to invest with became a game. It was so fun for me that I was like, I want to write another big check like this. I got to go back over to this thing and I got to think about how I can blow this thing up so that I can write another check over here. Because I know that when that check moves over into this bucket, although it doesn't feel super significant now, over time what happens is that bucket's going to continue to grow and grow and grow until I'm going to be like, that's a big bucket over there. And then I'm going to be 45 years old and I'm going to be like, if I don't want to work, I don't have to. If I want to go live 6 months in Europe with my family, that's what I can do. I literally can do whatever I want and not have to worry about money. Like I want to have $250,000 a month in passive income. Passive income. $3 million a year in passive income. Like that's a lot of money. Like I make a lot of money now. If I didn't have to work and make that much money, I'm like, man, you could do anything. Like that's a lot of money. Like to spend $3 million a year, taxes, yeah, I know. To spend that much money, like you have to be extravagant. Like you got to buy nice watches. You probably got to charter jets. You're driving exotic supercars. You have big houses. Like you travel and stay at the best of the best. Like to spend $3 million a year is a chore. It's a task. Now, if you get on the ultra stupid side of like, I'm going to go buy a Bugatti, then it can go pretty quick. But for most normal people, like $3 million a year is a lot of money to spend. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about me getting myself to where I can continue to skill up and chase new opportunities so that I can continue to grow my pile over here. So once you've figured out the math and you start chasing the opportunities, you identify where they're at, you start developing the skill. Now comes the time where people like, they've developed this skill and they're like, I learned this new tactic online, or, I learned this one word track on the sales call or whatever. What happens is they start getting impatient. Step 4 is where you just do the work. And you keep doing the work. And you keep doing the work, and you keep doing the work, and you keep doing the work. Like, you have to put everything that you're doing here into action. It has to be put into work. And this is where it's important to have good people around you that understand money, that understand business, that understand the way that you can increase all of them. Like, you have to have people around you that can say that is a valuable thing to learn, or that's a waste of your time and it's garbage. Because if you're learning skills that aren't going to translate into more money, then when you do the work, you're going to get no result. But the challenge that people make is when they start doing the work, they've got these new skills, they get frustrated. And they're not improving, and they're not getting to that next level of the thing that they need to reach in a matter of time that they are expecting. And so they quit, or they change course, or they try to learn something new, or they pivot. Like, if it took a year for a skill to be fully ingrained, and I believe that like when we train our people, like it's a year before they actually get good on the phone, to where they're consciously aware of what's happening in the call, they can pivot, they can adjust, they're professional, they don't get caught off guard on their heels too often, like to where they're actually like getting a lot of confidence. It's about a year to do that, okay? Most people stop 60 days. I would say 90% of people stop at 60 days. They're doing the work. Like, our guys work so hard. Like, I'm so proud of the team and what they do to get great at our job, because it's not easy. Selling people education is not an easy thing to do. And they do so much work. They train so much. They put in the time. They put in the hours. They come in on Saturday. Like, they do so much to develop themselves. That it's unfortunate when people don't see the fact that it's going to take a year for them to actually start reaping the rewards of that. You know, like for all of these things to start working together, and then they don't do the work. They're like, this isn't the right kind of work. And then they go somewhere else, and, you know, they're making $3,000 a month here plus some bonuses. Let's say in the beginning, a brand new salesperson with us is making $60,000 a year. And you know, like if they're making $60,000 a year after 90 days, we're having a conversation with them going, yo, this probably ain't going to work out for you. Okay? So like they end up in a situation where they start chasing a wrong target, a wrong expectation, and they end up bailing out of the work before it actually starts setting in. And so the thing you need to be thinking with is like, am I doing the right work? And then have I done the right work long enough? Because when we get salespeople that go 12 months and they've done the right thing for a year, dude, the difference is they finish that year with $150,000 in income. First year salespeople can make $150,000 here. How do they do that? Because they do the work on the front end. They do the hard work. They suffer through the street fight that is getting something sold over the phone. They do the work. And so this is the thing that can't be avoided. You can find the opportunity and you can develop the skill, but if you don't do the work, you're never going to get more money. And then the fifth thing is once you've done the work to the degree that you've gotten the result, then you just have to go back and you have to repeat it. I continue to go back and revisit this math monthly, probably more frequently, probably a couple times a month. What's the math? Where's the opportunity? What do we need to learn in order to get there? Got to put in the work, bop, 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 bop. This could take a week, it could take a month, it could take 6 months, it could take a year. Have good people around you so they can tell you that's going to be productive, that's not, that's going to work, that won't, that's a waste of your time, that's a great use of your time. You got to have people around you. That's why network and community is important. And then you got to have the ability to look at that and go, okay, it worked. I got the result that I'm looking for. I saw an incremental increase in my income. I went from $100,000 to $175,000. That worked. Now let's repeat it and do it again. What's my next math? Where's my next target? My next target's going to be $500,000. Okay, now I got to reverse engineer that, back all the math out. Okay, now where are my opportunities to go find that extra $1,000 a deal or that extra $5,000 a deal? Where's that going to come from? Okay, what do I need to do to get better at that? Do I need to get better at marketing and growing my business so that I can get those opportunities? Do I need to develop better sales skills so my conversion ratios increase so that I can be more productive on the same amount of activity that I have right now? And then once you develop those skills, you got to pound, 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 do the work, do the work, do the work, do the work for long periods of time sometimes before it pays off. And people that have natural ability, like these people out there exist, where they just have natural ability. Nobody will get great, like greatness. They'll never reach greatness with natural ability. They get there because they have natural ability and they develop skill. Because we have salespeople that have been here for 3 years that are training. They're doing all the right things. And then somebody comes here 2 years in, year and a half in, whoosh, they start producing more. Why? Because they're putting that ability, that natural ability that they have to work in a different way. So, like, you just got to find out, like, you got to put this process in place for you. When I think about things like this, I always break them down into a process. I always break them down into something that I can look at that's like, okay, first do this, then do this, then do this, then do this. And you can't get distracted. You can't get distracted while you're doing this. You have to stay focused. If money's important to you, and so again, that's the question you're going to have to go back to. When you start thinking about money and goals and dreams and how you want to live your life, and I highly recommend that you have these conversations with yourself, kind of important. I waited too long to get serious about this. Otherwise, I probably would have been much further along than I was, because I actually got started at 26. Now, if you're 20 years old or 18 years old, you're in great shape. If you're 40 years old right now, like I'm going to be 40 in a couple years, like it's not too late. Because I went from broke to millionaire in 4 years with the right information. So it's not too late for you. But you just have to know, like, less time for excuses. You're probably, if you got a family, you got kids, like, you got to figure out how important this thing is. Because the only person you can blame when you're not getting what you want is you, if you're refusing to do the work required in order to get it. And so you got to have that conversation with yourself over and over and over again. You got to revisit it over and over and over again. You got to stay connected to these goals and dreams that you have, and these income targets that you have, and these business targets that you have. You got to stay so connected to them, because as your business grows, they'll change. You know, like if we still had the same goals for the business that we did 5 years ago, we would be stuck. We would be stale. We'd be stagnant. We would have stopped. Because as the business grows, as your skill level grows, this is the magic of developing skill. Not just learning things, but developing a skill that can be put to work. The magic of this is as your skill grows, as your ability grows, your potential grows. And so as long as you're repeating this over and over and over again, you will make more money year after year after year after year. But you have to be actively engaged in something like this. Maybe this isn't the exact formula. This is how I think about it. Okay, go to the math. Where's the opportunity? What do I need to learn? Do the work. Pop, 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 pop. And for me, it's like, okay, do the math. What's the opportunity? Develop the skill. And maybe the opportunity is building out a new business line. Okay, so now I developed the skill. I'm getting connected with people. I'm learning new things. I'm figuring out how everything's going to work out. And then now we have to actually go and execute. Have to hire the people, have to get the sales and the marketing aligned, have to start getting deals and money coming in, have to continue to scale the team. And then now we have a business unit that went from an idea to something that's actually working with staff running through it, and deals and revenue and things, and it's starting to grow. And then we go, okay, this is stabilized. We'll continue to grow and scale that. Now I need to repeat the cycle, go back to the math. Where's the next opportunity? You got to be aware of this. And you got to keep recycling it over and over and over again. This, by the way, this money thing is the most important thing you can do for yourself and your family in your entire life. Get connected with the right information and the right people. Like, if you want to make $100 million or $50 million or $20 million or $10 million, like, the more you know about money, the bigger, the more those numbers are going to change. Because some people may say, "Oh, I want to be, I want to have $2 or $3 million or $5 million." What you're going to realize is that, like, you have to understand what that number actually means. Because me having $5 million packed away, that is not a significant life event. That I got about $4 million invested, and that pays me maybe $16,000 a month. That's nothing to, like, complain about. But I'm just saying, like, you put a big chunk of money away like that, now it's growing and appreciating. There's cool things happening, and I get tax benefits of it. But, like, you know, if you're making 185 grand a year or just under 200 grand a year, like in some areas you can have a nice life, but like in Miami, if you make 200 grand a year, like you can go out to dinner, maybe you can go on some vacations. You're not living in a crazy, insane house. You're probably paying 4 or 5 grand a month for rent. Like, you know, you're not living an extravagant life. And maybe extravagant isn't your target. But that's why it's so important to get clear on your targets so that you can put a plan in place to get where you want to go so you don't look back and end up saying, man, I screwed up. I messed up. I missed my opportunity. I missed my shot. I'm not where I want to be. My family's in jeopardy now. Like, you know, I was having a conversation this morning about just totally off topic, what happened in Afghanistan and what's probably going to start happening in the near future that won't be good. And it's going to put people in a vulnerable position. I talked to a business partner the other day, and he was telling me, he's like, you know what, like, I've been distracted. Like, I got off track. Like, I should have been doing this. Instead, I was focused on this, and now I've felt the impact in my business. And now our sales are going down, and I'm dropping because I lost focus of the target. I started focusing on the wrong thing. I wasn't keeping the main thing. I wasn't plugged in. Like, you always have to, the saying Grant always says is like, you don't want to get ready, you want to stay ready. Stay ready so that at all times, if anything happens, you're not going to be in a liability position. And the farther along you get, the bigger that family grows, the more of a liability position you're not just putting yourself in, but you're putting your family in. So if you've been putting off learning this money game at a new level, if you've been putting off doing what is required to get your family in a position of security, then you must, I implore you, go to grantcardone.com/challenge. We're doing a free training starting September 27th. And September 27th through October 3rd, we're doing the 10X Money Challenge. This is 7 days of education and information on money. How to get it, how to multiply it, how to think about it differently so that you make the right moves with your money. We're going live at 5 o'clock every day for 7 days straight. We're going to be live for about an hour, okay? Maybe 90 minutes max, okay? So it's not a huge time commitment, and the money commitment, it's free. So real low barriers to entry here. Grant's going to be coming in every day and telling you things that you need to do to start thinking different about money so that you can start attracting more money. So you can start bringing in more money, not just attracting it, right? It's going to be an amazing time, okay? 10X Money Challenge, he's going to share with you some behind-the-scenes stuff from Undercover Billionaire. If you didn't see the show, we went from $0 to $5.5 million in less than 90 days with no name, with no money, in a town where nobody knew him. He had no connections. He had to start completely over. Had to change his name. He was no longer Grant Cardone. He was nobody. He was nobody with no money in a town where nobody knew him, Pueblo, Colorado. And he built a $5.5 million business in 90 days, okay? The American dream is alive if you understand the math, the opportunity, the skill, and you do the work. And that's exactly what he did. And he did it in a very compressed period of time. So he's going to be sharing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes about Undercover Billionaire, how he made a lot of money in a short period of time. I think that's important for everybody to know. He's going to be teaching you some of the things that he's applied his whole life to his money situation, get him to the point where he's, going to be a billionaire, like knocking on the door. Like it's the amount of money is ridiculous and insane, and he's sharing with you guys exactly what you need to do to get your situation right. In addition to Grant for 7 days, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, massive investor, big cash flow guy. He's going to be sharing with you everything that you need to know about money to get where you want to go faster. Sharon Lechter, who co-wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it was the #1 selling financial education book in history, like 35 million copies. She's going to be talking about money and achieving financial freedom. Irvin Magic Johnson, NBA legend, legendary investor. Like, let's just talk about the money that he made when he was playing basketball. He made 5 times as much money or more after he got out of the game because he started investing and he started playing the investment game the right way. In order to get more money, you need to be able to have people give you money. So we're having Chris Voss, the FBI hostage negotiator. You've probably seen his videos online. He wrote a book called Never Split the Difference. He's going to be coming to share. Dr. Jordan Peterson, who everybody's excited to see. He's a world-renowned psychologist, and he really has some great thoughts on how people think about money and how people think about growth and how people think about excuses and reasons why things aren't happening in their life. Stormy Wellington, she's making $2 million a month. Her story is insane. She came from nothing. Like, I can't think of really anybody that I know that had it worse off than she did that has reached a level of success that she has. I mean, it's remarkable. And so she's going to be sharing with you how she went from nothing to $2 million a month. It's going to be an amazing time. It's absolutely free. GrantCardone.com/challenge. Starting September 27th, you've probably seen emails or ads or videos about it. Just join it. It's going to be insane. You're going to get great information, plus you're going to get access to a great group of people. We have a Facebook group that you get access to when you join this for free. So make sure you join the community. You start engaging with people, start meeting new people. You get connected with people that are success-minded, that are thinking about this. That's half the battle. Is when you're running your play, you got to have people around you that are running the same play too. So they're not going, man, that's stupid. Why are you wasting so much time or energy on money? Got to have the right support around you. So look, I appreciate you guys being here today. We'll be back again next week with another episode of Young Hustlers, and we will see you, hopefully, GrantCardone.com/challenge, because it's free. We'll see you next time.